Hey, Nathan,
Yes, Blake.
you know we're on like episode 9 now, yeah?
Yeah, something like that, isn't it?
Don't you think it's time that we start changing it up a little? Maybe we can move to a new location, or we can get some new hosts, or...
I mean, if we could afford that sort of money, then maybe. But unless like we're in a situation where we're forced to by some freak weather situation, like I don't know, if we have like a freak blizzard with 69 inches of snow and we had to change our hosts and location, then sure, I think we could manage it.
Oh, well, what I might do is I might just pick up my whole setup and go record it from my drying room that I've got, just for a bit of difference. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Going in Raw, the wrestling podcast presented by myself, Blake Richardson, this wrestling superfan, and Nathan, my tag team partner. Say hello, Nathan.
Hello.
This time round, as you might have heard from the intro, we've got a bit of variety, a bit of difference.
Yeah, they've really sweetened the pot this time around. They've revitalised the marriage by bringing in some dildos into the bedroom.
It is sort of like a very late stage, like you say, sort of, oh, it's got a bit stale. Let's kind of really sort of inject some new passion.
We're both 50 years old. I think it's about time we injected some cuckoldry into this marriage.
I think it's time we try out that risky wheelbarrow manoeuvre I wanted to try in my 20s.
I saw some things in Cosmopolitan that made me a bit hot under the collar.
So, yes, as I've alluded to, it's the March 15th edition of Going in Raw. And on the commentary desk tonight, Nathan, we have Gorilla Monsoon.
Who I've never heard of.
You've never heard of Gorilla Monsoon?
No, but I'm glad I have now. Sorry, you continue. I interrupted you.
This is a travesty. I am not all right with this. Bobby Heenan. Any comments there?
I was surprised to see him come back because, when we were setting up the episode to watch it, I saw his name in the description. I was like, oh, that's strange. Bobby Heenan's in this one. I wonder if they've asked, like, Rob Bartlett to leave or maybe, like, Macho Man's had to take a day off, so they'll bring Bobby Heenan in. That's not quite what happened, but I tell you what, who is here, Blake? It's only bloody Vince McMahon.
Is Vince McMahon still here? Oh,
Vince McMahon's turned up. Yeah, he swam all the way across the Hudson River.
I mean, because I thought he was presenting that leukemia thing this evening.
They did say that, but at the same time, like, he was still in the studio, so I don't know how they managed it. He did look a bit different today, though.
It must be some sort of computer wizardry they're doing.
Maybe. They're trying to disguise him a little bit so that he can be in two places at once.
Yeah, I mean, we do see a photo of him later, where he looks like
not
the
a good photo
Gray.
either. It's not a good picture.
I believe, you know, like in Resident Evil where they've got like loads of Alices in the movie. Do you reckon he's just got like loads of clones that he can just send to these functions when he doesn't want to go?
He sends the really bad-looking ones to the leukemia functions.
Of course, we are joking. It is Rob Bartlett doing another one of his fantastic, almost like Rory. Is it Rory McKenna that does impressions?
Yes, I think that's right.
Yeah, almost like a Rory McKenna level impression. Like he probably gets method into the role, Rob Bartlett, tonight, of Vince McMahon. Remember a couple of weeks ago he was Elvis?
I try to forget.
This one shits all over that.
I was going to say, like, because I saw that he was doing a bit this time around. It's like, oh, because he's got the subtitle, not Vince McMahon. I was like, oh, for God's sake, this is going to go on for the entire goddamn episode, like the Elvis thing. But then he starts speaking, it's like, oh, actually, that's a really good Vince McMahon impression. He just comes in, like, Vince, it basically sounds like one of our impressions.
I was going to say, the thing that's upset me the most is, on what is a spectacular episode of Raw, is I found myself being a bit jealous of Rob Bartlett, and that's a position I never want to be in.
Jealous of what exactly?
How good he is at doing Vince McMahon. I was like, I wish
he's
I
really
could do
showing
that.
us up.
Yeah, like it's almost like it's from the past. It's almost going, right, boys, follow that. Go on. You think you're so funny? You have a go.
I reckon in nearly 30 years' time, someone's going to have a bloody go at me. I'll show them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, it's going to get them back for all the times they've made fun of me for not being funny or saying something stupid. And we are broadcasting.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I don't know if we want to talk too much about like the commentary so far, or if we want to get more into it when the actual wrestling's going on. But there's a. I was just going to say, there's a lot to say about it.
Yeah, so we'll do like we do normally. So, like, if Obviously, you tend to follow the commentary more than me. So if you ever find a time when you've noticed something good on the commentary, just jump in.
But they do discuss that there has been a horrific blizzard in the northeast recently, and it cuts some shots of people struggling through the snow. I just assume it's like wrestlers trying to get into the venue because they wouldn't be driven there.
I like, do you remember like when we have a blizzard in this country and like you see videos on Facebook of people falling over like sort of Edinburgh streets? It was kind of like that. Yeah,
it wasn't that, but they looked happy to be there.
Yeah, it kind of looked like they were more prepared for it than we are. And we are broadcasting tonight from the Mid-Hudson Civic Centre in
Poughkeepsie,
New York. Thank you, Nathan. We had a big debate before we started. How the fuck do you pronounce this?
because it's spelled like I can only describe it as an English township. It's it's like Poughkeepsie, but it's pronounced Poughkeepsie, which is fun.
Stupid and wrong, and I hate it.
I made this point to Blake earlier. How can Americans get names right like Poughkeepsie, but they struggle with like Edinburgh or Tottenham?
It makes no sense. You give them a perfectly good language, look what they do to it. So, right. Let's get on with the show. So, we start off with the commentary team. And as I say, it's Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan, and Rob Bartlett playing Vince McMahon. In the ring at the moment, there is the buxom ring lady that we sometimes have. She has quite a thrill later on, Nathan, I've got to say.
Oh, yeah, she has a wonderful evening.
All in all, I've got to say, I was absolutely delighted with this afternoon's episode of Monday Night Raw.
Absolutely.
Already, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to ruin the end of the show straight away, and the bit where we normally do the wrap-up, this one was amazing.
You talk about the match or just like her? Because she was my MVP of the evening.
The whole show was just amazing. I loved every second of tonight's. So they're chatting about the fact that we haven't got the normal commentary team because they're over in some other location. I didn't quite catch where. And they're doing a fundraiser for the first annual leukemia centre. That's why I said what I said earlier. And Hulk Hogan is either presenting or being presented with some kind of award. And Vince McMahon's there as well, hence why we've got like clone number 3 standing on the commentary desk. The one that went a bit wrong.
The one that they put in a slightly too small tube.
And we go to the titles of Monday Night Raw. We come back and it gives you a crowd shot. And I think the location has really breathed a new sort of sense of fresh air and life back into the product.
It's kind of a tonal whiplash, like compared to last week. But at the same time, it's like a nice whiplash. It's like a car crash that you have where you realise, oh, the insurance money on this is going to be great.
It's kind of like if you've had a bad neck and a bad back for like years and then you get rear-ended by a Mini and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's kind of worked out some of the kinks that I had. And that whole thing sounded like an innuendo, but it wasn't. From Mini to kinks. That wasn't an innuendo.
I've just been rear-ended by this car and now I like feet.
Yes, we're already off to a great start. So our first match of the evening is Razor Ramon versus Ross Greenberg.
I have an issue immediately.
Go on.
With the commentary. Now, this is like one of the few low points, but I don't know who says it. I think it's Bobby Heenan. But as soon as Razor Ramon walks out, they just say, "There's the bad guy."
Yeah, I noticed as well.
Have
I was
some
like,
fucking character.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, there's. It's not like his thing is even like, oh, Razor Ramon, I'm the bad guy, like Billie Eilish. It's not even like he says that about himself. It is basically just saying, right, okay, we're in a new place. These people might not know wrestling. He's the villain. He's evil.
It's like, right, kids, you see that man? That's the bad man.
What do you do if you see Razor Ramon in the street? That's it. You run away and find your parents.
Or if you have any stones, throw them.
So we kick off. Ross Greenberg is already in the ring. Razor Ramon does his entrance and comes down to the ring. He's adorned in lots of golden finery. He looks great. He's got a different colour scheme on tonight, which I think really suits him. He takes off his Mr. T-style jewellery and hands it to the referee and then threatens him with physical violence.
Yeah, he just says, if anything happens to this, something's going to happen to you. And
the
guy looks terrified.
Yeah, like he does a really good job, but I like the fact like it's very non-specific. It's like literally anything. It's not saying I'm going to beat you up or I'm going to break your arm. It's like something's going to happen to you. I'm not going to tell you what. I'm not going to tell you when. And I think that's a great way of being a bully, is sort of having wiggle room in your threats.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to do anything. He can just like stand outside his house in the early hours of the morning, and the referee will peel back the curtains and see he's standing there, not doing anything, but like he's gonna do something.
It's like, is it Christopher Walken in Seven Psychopaths in the flashback?
That's what I was thinking of.
Where he looks out the window, he's just on the roof, staring at him. We start off with they're going to go for like a fake lockup. Razor Ramon kind of gives him a kick to the midsection and gives him a few blows. They work their way into doing some chops into the corner by Ramon. Greenberg sort of ducks the clothesline and gets a clothesline from Razor. And Razor's firmly in control of the whole match. It's basically a showcase for Razor. He gives him this beautiful fall-away slam, which you were quite concerned about Ross Greenberg's arm.
Is that what that's called, where like he picks him up horizontally and flings him over his head?
Yeah, it's a fall-away slam because you fall away while you slam.
But yeah, like I've not heard of Ross Greenberg before. Is he like another kind of jobber that we've talked about before?
Nathan, you've got a very short memory because Ross Greenberg, hence why I'm doing the whole Greenberg bit, was on the show a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Was he also a bit of a squash?
Yes.
Okay. No, it's just like, because when he was flung over Razor Ramon, I don't know whether he's had like all the proper training. When
the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plane.
Because like as he gets flung over, his arms start to flail around as if he's going to try and like support himself on the way down. But like the way he lands, like he was so close to sort of bending his arm in the wrong way and it's snapping in half. It was a worrying land.
It did look a bit rough. I think he's a bit of a Scott Steiner or Razor Ramon. He's going to pop his hips and fling you. Wherever you're going, regardless of what Razor Ramon wants to do or what you want to do.
Yeah, the rest is up to you and fate.
Yeah, as soon as I let go, that's you, mate. You're in charge from then on out. He sort of then stamps on his head. He picks up and he puts him in an abdominal stretch, which is really hard to say. But he does a really interesting variation of the abdominal stretch. So while he has him hooked into the main body of the maneuver, he sort of, with his other arm, picks the far leg. And so he sort of almost lifts you off your feet in an abdominal stretch position. It's really quite remarkable. It looks a bit hokey. It looks a bit sort of gangly and a bit sort of like two octopuses fighting because there's limbs everywhere. But it looks pretty cool. While that's all going on, he sort of like throws him to the ground. He gets him in a submission, like an STF. So he kind of hooks the back legs and puts like his hands around his head, like a crippler crossface sort of maneuver. So he's basically just dominating poor old Ross Greenberg from the get-go. And when the submission gets broken up, he decides to do some old-fashioned heelery and just slap him in the back of the head a bit.
He just starts playing his head like a bongo.
It's really quite fun. It's quite a fun popcorn sort of match.
It looks so silly, but... Sorry, I just can't think of any... Like, it's just bullying at that point.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's just victimising this poor young man. And I can't help but wonder if the guy that he gave all his jewellery to is going, well, I best look after it. I was just going to slap me in the back of the head.
Because it doesn't look painful. It just looks bothersome.
Yeah, it looks very sort of like, so what's the word? Like demasculating? Is that a word? Do you know what I mean? Like sort of like he's basically
I think it's just emasculating.
Emasculating, thank you. Yeah, where he's just making him feel like a small boy in the ring with his colossus, this specimen of manhood.
I'm just imagining Razor will go, now let me spank your little bottom, you rude little boy.
You're such a naughty boy.
Apologise.
There's some lovely heel work by Razor. Ross gets back onto like one knee and he tries to fight back. Ramon just no-sells. Like he throws a few punches in the midsection. Ramon doesn't even move. Like he makes his moves look really ineffective and also really pants, like they're really bad punches. He gives him a Uranagi, which like you might know it as a rock bottom. Razor does to Ross. And he gives him another couple of stamps. He picks him up. He lifts him like from behind in like a reverse, like a back suplex position. He lifts him and pops him on the turnbuckle, facing out towards the crowd. That's what I mean, with ease. So it's really making Ramon out to be like the guy in charge, and Ross is this like sort of flailing little boy man who can't really do anything. He follows him onto the top turnbuckle and gives him a massive superplex, like from like it's great. Like the impact. Brilliant. Oh, and it's sold on commentary beautifully as well. Like everyone's, for a match that has no build up, like a lot of these matches have, it really does sort of set the crowd alight and it does get everyone really pumping. he kind of Razor Ramon gets back to his feet and does some taunting, really putting over like there's nothing this man can do. I'm firmly in control. And he gives him this, I think I've described it before, but I didn't catch what it was called. So Razor Ramon delivers his finishing move, which is called the Razor's Edge.
Yes.
Cool name, right? And essentially it's kind of like he puts you in a power bomb position, lifts you up like over, like basically onto his back. So you're facing away from each other, and puts you in like this kind of crucifix with your arms. So I've written it down as like a Razor's Edge, like crucifix slam.
Yeah, it's a weird, like, it's a very elaborate piece, but it looks cool.
It looks cool, and gets the pin, and he wins with relative ease.
Bit of a squash.
But it's a good start. It's 3 minutes long, really good, strong start.
Yeah, a very good strong start because it was an entertaining match. Like seeing, like you say, Razor putting himself over as like this mighty heel worked incredibly well. And I gotta say, the commentary, like you said, was pretty damn good. Both Gorilla and Bobby Heenan both seem to have really great chemistry together. They're both really good at calling their spots. And Rob Bartlett has probably been the funniest he's ever been.
Nathan, what is this sacrilege? What are you saying?
I know, but it's, at the same time, it's not just that he's being funny, but he's also allowing the rest of the commentary to breathe. He's not trying to be overbearing. He's coming in every sort of now and again with his Vince McMahon impression, which is just literally mumbles followed by a growl, and also the occasional shouting of the phrase "facial area." But he lets the other two talk and completely ignore him, and it's fine.
I reckon this is your funny smelling bleach monster drink you're drinking.
Probably.
It's affecting your brain.
I've kind of got a jiggly knee at the moment. I don't know if you can see me shaking, but that's what
I've noticed that you are sort of vibrating on my screen. It's very bizarre. We go to an advert break off of Nathan's ridiculous insight of the commentary team. We come back and there's the ring. It's like a breakneck speed so far. Like we're literally not had a moment to breathe. And I think, okay, all jokes aside, I reckon you are right. The commentary team tonight is tight as. And I think it's because so far there's been no downtime. So everyone really is like hyper focused on getting the matches and getting the general outline and the story of the show across to the audience at home and doing their job. Like no one's kind of stepping on each other's toes. So I get completely what you mean. Now, bit of a weird one. I'm certain last time round, and you might have to go back to the audio file of last week's. So the next match is Typhoon versus LA Gore. I'm certain it wasn't Typhoon versus LA Gore last week. It was somebody else.
It was another big guy, but I can't remember what his name is. It's a long one. It's the guy with the spider like web tattooed on the back of his head.
Oh, Damien Demento.
No, not Damien Demento. But no, I know what you mean because it was. That's the thing because I went into this thinking, oh, it was Typhoon versus this other guy. There's like another really big guy.
We'll have to check the audio from last week because I can't remember.
Yeah.
So we start off with Typhoon. He comes out to the ring, and LA Gore's got the already in the ring treatment. And let's just have a quick chat about how LA Gore looks before we move on to body shaming Typhoon. LA Gore is an unusual looking man. He's middle height, kind of middly in his musculature. He's got sort of golden blonde curly hair and a mustache and a look like if you fed a Dalmatian bad meat. There's something wrong with that man's face.
That's amazing because I never actually stopped to think he looks unusual. Like to me, he's just like another strange wrestler, like another random that I've never heard of before.
Oh, so you reckon so? Like he kind of fits in the cavalcade of just like slowly rotating faces of just people that keep coming and going. He didn't stick out to you as an odd-looking man.
No, because like he's sort of like you say, he wasn't like too physically impressive. I mean, he's certainly stronger looking than the average man, but at the same time, like I don't want to say he's like particularly fat or anything, but there's a lack of definition there that you'll see in like Mr. Perfect or Narcissus.
Yeah, I get what you mean. He's not. He's definitely not on either end of being a physical specimen. He's not small and lean, and he's not big and overdeveloped.
No, that's the thing. Like because he wasn't like pitiful or giant, he just kind of faded into the background in my mind.
He's sort of like a grey slate, just with nothing about him.
Yeah, like they just kind of threw some cloves on like you say, on a Dalmatian or something. So there we go.
That'll do.
That's a character. He doesn't. No one needs to remember him for more than 5 minutes. It's fine.
Well, I think the match is about 3 minutes long, so 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Typhoon, he looks like a blimp. He looks so huge here.
Don't be so rude.
No, but I mean, I'm not body shaming, and obviously being a wrestler, like I said last time with Typhoon, being big is your thing. Like, that's kind of your whole style. But just something about him this time round. Maybe I've had some sort of weird eye thing where everyone looks weird to me now. Like, I'm looking at them through a funhouse mirror. But he just really struck me as, like, bigger than last time and kind of paler and lumpier.
Maybe, I don't know. I did like I mean, because I think we might have spoken about this in one of the early episodes about, like, do these wrestlers who are put over as, like, big chunky men, do they like with the steroid abuse, do they get force fed, like, to be even bigger and scarier? I don't
Like
really know
your
how
man-
it works.
Yeah, like your man from Seven, the gluttony one.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know if they've just been, like, steadily, like on a conveyor belt system, just funneling cakes into his mouth or something.
Oh, I thought you were more getting on to, like, Typhoon's trying to lose weight and eat salad, and, like, Vince McMahon sneaking in with, like, an injector full of, like, carbohydrates and just injecting his lettuce when he's not looking.
No, I was more thinking it's like, oh, Typhoon, you got to put on 50 pounds by the next Raw.
So
Here you go.
were
Have
more
have some vouchers for Baskin Robbins.
You were more thinking in the realms of reality.
Yes.
Whereas I had, like, a weird.
Because I know we paint Vince McMahon as a cartoonish villain every now and again, but I don't think he's literally trying to force feed people, like, carbohydrates.
I don't think the level of his Machiavellian schemes back here are that elaborate. You're right.
Not yet.
So we start off with very typical Typhoon style wrestling, lots of lockups and pushes offs. Typhoon does a lot of grandstanding and a lot of sort of, like, look at me, look how big I am, look how strong and powerful I am. He gets I was going to say LA Noir then, LA Gore in a headlock. It's got pings him off the ropes and gets a shoulder block for his troubles. They lock up. LA sort of takes. He kind of, like, slips out of the lockup and sort of, like, beats him into a corner, Typhoon, and he gives Typhoon lots of short stabbing spears in the corner. Typhoon reverses that into the other corner and basically runs in and squashes him, which is basically Typhoon's signature move, I reckon. Gives him a hip toss, throws LA into the other corner. He comes off the ropes. He pings LA off the ropes and gives him, like, a reverse elbow. Where, like, I don't think I even saw his feet move. He just sort of, like, his body just sort of twizzled round and just stuck his...
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I've just remembered who Typhoon was supposed to be up against.
Go on.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh.
I think we made a joke about how... I think I might have made a joke about wondering how the ring would be able to support those two individuals at the same time.
Do you reckon that is the reason the match got changed? In rehearsal, they went through 8 rings. They were like, "Guys, this is we can't do this."
You know, I'm trying to be all inclusive, so I'm not going to make any jokes about weight. So I'm just gonna silently suggest we move back onto the onto the match.
Okay, that's fine. So he gives him a reverse elbow as he comes off the ropes, and Typhoon picks him up into. I know I've been ragging on him, but this actually was impressive. A man of the size of Typhoon gives him an incredibly snappy suplex. Like, he gets down low, he bends low, and then he kind of gets such torque and velocity on the back of the suplex. It's really good. And I've even written here in my notes, Typhoon is more impressive this time round.
Oh, yeah, no,
than
I've
he
written the
was last
same
time.
thing. Because we've only seen him once before, right? And I
Yes,
think we were
we have.
both pretty underwhelmed by his performance. He's
Yes.
doing a lot better this time around. And I don't know whether that's actually him doing better or if it's just his opponent is better at selling him. But overall, Typhoon is a lot more of an impressive wrestler during this match.
And it's kind of gone from I never want to see this man again to I might want to see this man again.
Yeah,
sometime.
if he has another good day like this, then yeah, sure, I'll watch him.
He does, like, a really nice twisting power slam. So already he's more mobile and he's pulling out more moves than last time. And he's putting over his own size as well, because he does, like, he steps on LA as he steps over him. So, like, he walks over him, which is, like, such sort of, oh, look at me being a big man, squashing a smaller, uglier man underneath my feet. he kind of gets LA into the corner and gives him some knees, goes into the other corner, and literally he follows him in. So as LA's running in, he follows him at a run and squashes him again. And then he kind of works him down to the ground, and he does like the typhoon splash. So he comes off the ropes, runs in, like stops for a fraction of a second, jumps, and then splashes. I missed this because the referee decided to walk in front of the camera as the move impacted, which was really annoying. But whatever, it's a dodgy end to in camera work anyway, to quite a good, again, fun breakneck speed match.
Yeah, I don't think the director of photography could really predict that happening though. That the referee would step out in that position just at the wrong time.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things like when you do millions of hours of live television, eventually something like this is going to happen.
Yeah. Also, at one point, Typhoon's nipple pops out, and it really bothers me for the rest of the match.
Well, I've written down here, Typhoon wins, and then when it cuts to him with his arms in the air, nip slip, because I noticed it as well.
No, his nipple came out during the match, I'm pretty certain.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was when he got up, it just sort of like made a bid for freedom.
Do you reckon he planned that?
Yeah.
Like, this will get me in GQ magazine.
Who knows what's going on in the mind of that man? Who knows? We go to an ad, and there's a new outro card, which is like some steak on a plate with Raw written on it, leading into the advert break. And
Which
I just thought that was noteworthy.
You don't want to have raw steak at that point. I think like early 90s was when mad cow disease was rampant.
Yeah, like that's when like if you got full of beef, your insides would rot. So don't be eating raw steak.
But yeah, when we cut to that steak thing, we're promised the Giant Gonzalez interview with Bobby the Brain Heenan when they cut back. And then something quite interesting happens, Blake. Do you want to talk about it or should I? Okay, so we cut back to the the wide shot of the ring, and Bobby Heenan is in the ring, and he seems to be having an argument with someone off the stage. Like he's just saying, "What do I start? Am I now? Like now?" And he's got the microphone in one hand. He's talking to the microphone. He's just like shouting at one of the stagehands, and we're like, oh, "Okay, this is a funny bit." He's just having a bit of a goof around, having a bit of an argument. But then it cuts to an ad break. I'm thinking that Bobby Heenan just got a man fired.
So, like you say, it comes back from an ad. We're all hyped up for this, what's going to be a bizarre interview. Like you say, there's a few sort of seconds of confusion. Bobby Heenan's yelling at a man, a stagehand. Then it goes back to the advert breaks. And that's, I think, both when me and you thought the exact same thing. Was that real? Is this real now? And like you say, you could almost hear his P45 being printed in the production office. Ding! Get out!
You can always hear the stagehand think to himself out loud, but how will I feed my children?
You can almost hear the camera be put down, like the incredible music, the Incredible Hulk sad walk away music starts as he goes up the ramp and into the cold blizzard outside in New York.
And the thing is, like, it cuts back from the advert and he's still having a go. And he's just like, okay, do I go now? Now. Okay, good. It's just like, Jesus Christ, Bobby, calm down.
Give it a rest, mate. Do you think he's annoyed that he couldn't bring out any of his amazing racist characters this week? Because the impressionist third of the commentary desk was already taken by Rob Bartlett. So we come back, like you say, to Bobby the Brain Heenan. He's interviewing Giant Gonzalez and Harvey Whippleman. And then when we've ragged on Giant Gonzalez a lot, and he's still wearing the same costume.
And he still looks shit.
It still looks really, really, really bad. But when they come out as that kind of really low, droning, evil music, and the cameras are angled a bit lower than normal, and Harvey Whippleman's quite small, and Giant Gonzalez, as we've said before, is legitimately 8 feet tall.
Yeah. I believe he was a basketball player before this.
It wouldn't surprise me. It is kind of atmospheric. Like, I got a bit of a chill. I was like, fuck me, that is a big, big man.
Yeah, and it's good that they got Whippleman to do most of the work because, like, during the interview, Gonzalez is trying to, like, aggressively mug at the camera and it just looks a bit silly. Like, he's just, like, going, rah, ah.
Like William Dafoe William Dafoe is the Green Goblin. I think the thing is as well, I think what they're trying to do is draw a parallel because obviously he's fighting the Undertaker at WrestleMania 9. That's why he's come out to do this interview, right? So I think what they've done is they've paired Giant Gonzalez with Harvey Whippleman to kind of mirror the Undertaker and Paul Bearer, maybe.
Because I mean they do comment on like Paul Bearer being a strange looking individual.
Yeah, Harvey Whippleman at one point threatens to give him so many rights he'd be begging for a left, which is, I'm sure, something Muhammad Ali said once. I'm sure. I'm sure I've heard that before, and I'm sure it was Muhammad Ali that said that.
I didn't really consider that. I just thought, oh, that's a good pun. Good for him.
The interview itself is kind of shambolic. Like, the camera doesn't really know where to be. Whippleman keeps wandering. Heenan keeps wandering. Everyone's sort of looking at each other, trying to catch each other's eye, much like we are when I'm burping and you're taking a drink and neither of us is speaking. We're both kind of egging each other on to start talking again. Basically, the whole kind of crux of the interview, like I say, is Harvey Whippleman saying, I've got a gigantic 8-foot man. My gigantic 8-foot man is going to beat The Undertaker like he did before at WrestleMania. And I've been down on Gonzalez versus Undertaker as like from day one when it got announced. Now, as it's starting to build, maybe I'm in a weird mood today. I'm starting to kind of maybe look a little bit more forward to it. Maybe,
but at the same time, we have seen Gonzalez wrestle, and it's not impressive.
Well, his wrestling is more impressive than his ability to speak on a microphone.
Fucking, like, the one line he gets to say, he gets to have, like, one big impactful thing to say at the end of the interview, and all he just says is, I have a giant surprise for you. Like, fucking hell. You couldn't think of anything better.
Do you reckon his giant surprise is an even bigger man? That
His older brother.
Yeah, that he's going to be the manager of.
The giant of Gonzalez.
Then the Undertaker's got to fight, the giant of Gonzalez. This man's like 9 foot tall. I feel sorry for their dear old mum having to give birth to these giant 8-9 foot freaks. So yeah, that's that. Then we go to an ad for WrestleMania, which starts off a lot with just Hulk Hogan.
I thought it was an advert just for Hulk Hogan.
Same. So like when it starts off, you've got like Hulk Hogan doing sort of like a big muscle pose, silhouetted in front of like sort of like a goldeny, mutedy sort of background. And it's sort of going on about, he was the world champion, a record-breaking 4 times. He's sold out more seats in the arena than Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, and somebody else combined. He is the biggest and the best wrestling star of all time. For over 10 years, he's been on top. He is Hulk Hogan. He's back at WrestleMania. He's going to do a wrestle for you. Moving on to WrestleMania. The bits that you don't care about because Hulk Hogan's not in these matches. It was very, 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 very angled towards Hulk Hogan. But the ad goes on for about 5 minutes. Am I right in thinking this is where we get... This isn't the report, is it? This is just...
No.
Okay, so it's just like going to give you a brief overview of WrestleMania, when it is, the fact that Hulk Hogan's, like, his match, basically it's a package for just his match at the main event for WrestleMania 9.
Yeah, which I thought was strange, but, like, because there's, like, 2 main events at the show, apparently.
Yeah. There wasn't until Hulk Hogan said he'd come back, and then there was.
Yeah, and which, fair enough, the amount of money they must have had to spend to get Hulk Hogan back, and, like, the amount of, like, buzz that he generates, it's probably only fair that they put him at the front and center. Well, I say fair, but...
Yeah, wrestling fair.
Good business sense for them to put him front and center.
But you're detracting kind of a little bit away then from Brett and Yokozuna, but... I guess when you got Hulk Hogan, literally everybody is going to have to share the spotlight no matter what. Let's be honest.
Well, that's the thing, because, I mean, we've made our opinions of Hulk Hogan clear before, but, you know, back at the time, he was the biggest thing they had going.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was the one thing that basically kept them running during several dark periods. When we go back to the ring, we are treated, and I say treated genuinely, to this following match. It's Papa Shango versus Bob Backlund, which I know sounds crazy, me saying I am legitimately excited by Papa Shango versus Bob Backlund, but I am.
But it's an incredible matchup because you've got Papa Shango, who I wouldn't call him necessarily like a brawler wrestler, but he's definitely like a meaty, hard hitter, heel kind of character. And then you've got Bob Backlund, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like hero face character who just wants to give it a good old-fashioned American wrestle.
Looking like a youthful Mickey Rooney.
Which is a great line from the commentary team, yeah.
Oh, Nathan, why you got to sell me out like that? They're not going to watch the original rip. I could have had that as my thing that I said. Everyone was like, "Oh, great joke, Blake." But yeah,
this match is setting itself up for some goofy shit, and I love it.
It's, you know, last week when I was saying I need mad, stupid shit to happen, it's not happening here. This is exactly what I was looking for.
This is the payoff.
Okay, so second appearance of Papa Shango. I'm growing into quite a Papa Shango mark already. Every
He is
time
a
he comes
scary
out,
individual.
I'm into it. I like it. So he comes out with his smoking skull, and then Bob Backlund comes out wearing a spiffing sports coat, like a really nice windbreaker. And I looked at my television screen. And I looked at a voodoo priest on one side and an all-American blue chipper on the right-hand side, and I was like, I can't believe they're part of the same TV show. The tonal disconnect between these two characters is insane. I don't know if you noticed this as well. They mentioned on commentary that Bob Backlund was the longest reigning WWF champion of all time. 5 years.
I know it's and I get what you mean about the tonal whiplash of having these two on like in the ring together, because it's like your TV screen's broken. One half is playing Happy Days, the other half is playing the second Indiana Jones film. Temple of Doom, that was it. Christ, that would have been funny if I'd actually remembered the name of it.
That's a great line from commentary, Nathan.
Fuck
I'm going
off.
to do it to you now.
Joke's on you. Temple of Doom wasn't out then. That's a lie.
I don't know. But yeah, so we start off and Papa Shango is chasing Bob Backlund like a literal sort of movie monster. Bob's like dodging and taunting, and they do it again. And Papa Shango comes in and Bob gets him with a leg trip. Like we said last time, Bob Backlund, it is proper it is actual grappling and holds and submission locks, and it's a very traditional, real way of wrestling, like you'd see in the Olympics.
I don't know how you describe it. I think like the term is like maybe mat wrestling or something like that.
Yeah. It's how Matt wrestles.
Because sorry, that's a stupid joke, but I love it.
It is stupid. But yeah, so it's a lot of traditional sort of wrestling moves, and you kind of have this nice contrast between Shango wanting to get in like the tests of strength and the strikes and the big slams, and Bob that just keeps, for a man in his 40s, keeps nipping out of his way, evading him, using his speed to kind of like trip him and get him in a quick arm bar and stuff like that. So it is really fun. So they do this sort of test of strength thing where Shango uses his weight and his strength to push Bob down to his knees, gives him a few boots. The pace slows, but not in a bad way. Like it's kind of like, oh, something good's going to be coming. And I thought to myself then, I wonder if Bob's going to take that shoulder breaker we saw last time round. Probably not, right? Bob slips out of the strength check and works him over with a few punches. There's like a big elbow to Papa Shango when Shango's on his knees. And Bob has control of him in the wrist lock, and he keeps sort of like jiggling his arm. Jiggling's the wrong word, but jostling his arm and like sort of stamping his foot and dragging the arm to make it look like he's like wrenching the arm out of the socket, or trying to at least. And it's a really fun kind of move. They kind of come off the ropes, and Papa Shango gives him a big backbreaker. So Bob will take the big moves, even though he's in his 40s. They kind of go into the corner, and Shango smothers him with his hands in the corner and pushes him down. And I found this bit quite amusing. The noises coming out of Bob Backlund were quite fun. It's all going like, yeah.
This is being choked, bless him.
I know, but it is quite funny, isn't it? And Papa Shango, okay, so Bob ends up in between the first and second rope, like kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
And Shango puts his foot through the second and third rope, and using the leverage and his foot, pushes Bob, like with his foot, almost like choking him against the bottom rope, which is pretty, like, gross to look at, but really, really, really fun.
But again, some funny noises come out of it.
Yeah, and you get like a really nice tight close-up on Bob as well, like with his eyes. And Bob Backlund, I've got to say, is probably one of the best sellers I've ever seen. He's incredible. Yeah. Like, I believe the plight and the, I wouldn't say terror because I sound like a coward, but the worry that he's in. And do you know what I mean? I thought he was getting hurt.
For someone who's like such a, and I don't mean this term disparagingly, but a quote-unquote real wrestler, he does do like the business stuff very well. Like you say, he sells it incredibly.
And he kind of falls very ungraciously out of the ring after getting his like
look good. Him in his little pants.
It's great. I love it. And they kind of go into the ring again. So like Shango chases him around the ringside for a little bit and rolls him back in, and then he gives him like a headbutt to the dick. So like he gets each leg. And
yes. He just headbutts him in the dick, and I believe it's Bobby Heenan again just says, well, this is uncensored.
Good old Bobby Heenan. Shango gives Bob a reverse chin lock, And Bob does that really old style Memphis wrestling, feeding off the crowd. He starts banging his hands on the canvas. The crowd are clapping and chanting, and he uses that energy to kind of feed off the crowd and get back to his feet, which I think is great.
He's like Goku feeding off the energy.
Yeah, he basically goes Super Saiyan. But the thing is, like, he escapes that kind of hole, but Shango goes straight back into control, gives him a huge lifting backbreaker, and just elbow drops and elbow drops and elbow drops. And I know you're all the commentary man, but I've noticed something on commentary that I really quite liked. The only thing better than Vince McMahon banging on about that Stephen Matrix show is Rob Bartlett by way of Vince McMahon banging on about the Stephen Matrix show.
I couldn't tell the difference. It was just identical. For a hitman, Stephen Matrix, whatever.
It was great. We kind of go back into that reverse chin lock by Shango. They go down onto the mat, and Shango then starts using the bottom rope for illegal leverage, just puts his feet on there. And they kind of do that sort of a couple of times, like really kind of slowing it and eking the pace out. And they do that thing with the three arms. So like the ref puts up Bob's arm, and if it falls 3 times, he's out. That's the match over. Obviously on the second one, his arm starts shaking. I'm still in this. They kind of like Bob works about with his elbows, and then kind of comes off the ropes, and Papa Shango catches him with a knee, and then follows up with like a big power slam, and goes into a near fall. And I thought that was it. I thought, right, we're done. We're out here. Papa Shango taunts, gives him a few boots, and then the most magical, wonderful thing happens. Bob reels off one of these boots, and then catches Shango and rolls him so neatly into a small package.
It is a beautiful reversal of
breathtaking,
like textbook.
It's like, you know, when you have like washed your bed sheets and you've got such a go on.
Yeah, go on. I'm listening.
You're wondering where I'm going with this, aren't
you?
And you've got such like a neat, crisp fold. It's just so neat and crisp, your bed sheet. Like, it's just so smooth and it was like that. It was like bed sheets.
Like fresh bed sheets.
Yeah. Bob Backlund is fresh bed sheets.
And yeah, he gets him in that, and 1, 2, 3.
And I went wild. Like, this was like the closest I've ever got to standing up and cheering.
It was the strangest episode of Scooby-Doo I've ever seen.
Bob Backlund runs away. He won the match. And like, he sprints down the rampway out of there.
Wouldn't you? With that giant Papa Shango just screaming at you.
I mean, after getting the shit kicked out of me and then winning by fluke like I just did, then yeah, I probably would, to be honest. It's speeding by this show. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And this made me excited as well. Bob Backlund is taking on Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 9.
Oh, yeah. That was coming on, wasn't it?
At WrestleMania 9, we've got Bob Backlund versus motherfucking Razor Ramon.
I'm really looking forward to this WrestleMania now.
Same. I was kind of a bit down on it.
Yeah, we were kind of like so-so on the idea of watching the Royal Rumble, so we didn't. But the WrestleMania, I think it's going to be good.
I think it's going to be absolute class. I mean, the episode's going to be like 4 hours long, but...
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with that.
No. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Now we go to the WrestleMania report with Mean Gene Okerlund. And there's quite a lot of stuff in here that I kind of want to run really quickly through. So it's basically running you through the matches that we've got. So it's Bret Hart versus Yokozuna, and you see a spot of Yokozuna on Superstars just manhandling some guy.
Yeah, just murdering some dude who's already, like, unconscious.
With the ring announcers trying to break it up, and Mr. Fuji egging him on in a very Mr. Fuji-ish way.
There was a very rough-looking bonsai drop.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, all I was going to say was, because it's the usual thing where he pulls like his victim into the corner, climbs up onto the second
Victim
rope.
is a nice way of describing it. I think victim's a perfect way of describing what happens next.
Does he climb onto the second rope or the first rope? He definitely doesn't go all the way up. He goes onto the second rope. And yeah, then he just shouts bonsai and drops his ass onto their chest. But this one, like, whereas like he usually like stamps his feet and makes a big scene of it and doesn't land that heavily on their chest, this one he like goes ass first right onto his collarbone, and it looks rough as shit.
If you were the guy getting that move, you would have dents on your chin from Yokozuna's testicles as they came cannonballing towards you.
You would look like Wile E. Coyote after a failed Acme experiment.
Then you go into there's a bit of Money Inc. just being heels, lots of laughing, ha 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 ha, that they do.
Yeah, apparently they're getting a special suit briefcase made just for the Mega Maniacs event.
Well, this is the thing, because they've said that Brutus the Barber Beefcake is going to have a special face mask to protect him from the briefcase. So much like the escalation of police violence in the US, the Money Inc. have now decided they're going to get an armor-piercing briefcase to break through the armor.
Do you reckon it's just going to be a briefcase with knives on the side?
And then, so that means then that the next match they do, like Barber's going to have to wear like a medieval knight's helmet or something to combat the armor-piercing briefcase.
It's just going to wind up with them all in SWAT gear.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's going to be insane. Then we move on to The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez. And on the picture they have of Giant Gonzalez, he's doing like an Elvis lip.
Yeah, he's got like the fish hook in the lip.
And then we get a Paul Bearer interview again.
Always a fun time.
And I'm not sure until he started speaking if Undertaker was really there or if he was a scarecrow. That they've kind of put a trench coat on.
You see, I didn't like write too much about this promo purely because like after what Paul Bearer said, I was thinking, is this the exact same promo they shared last time? But
yeah,
no,
I couldn't.
Undertaker's it's different. Undertaker's speech is different than what he said before. So it is a new one. It's just Paul Bearer, I think, says something incredibly similar to what he said last time.
Yeah, it's much of the same, isn't it? Much of a muchness.
Yeah, which I mean, it's always fun to watch them like do their thing, but
yeah, different location, different sort of subject. It would have been nice, but
yeah.
It is what it is.
But they got to build up that match.
Yeah, and then at WrestleMania as well, we've got Lex Luger versus Mr. Perfect, which I am legitimately super hyped about.
Yeah, that should be a good match.
And then, bit strange, we have Mean Gene Okerlund running through not just the wrestling, but other things that will be happening at WrestleMania 9. And apparently, Nathan, I don't know if you realise this, but they're going to go for the world's largest toga party.
Yeah, everyone's going to be in a toga. Mean Gene's going to be in a toga. The entire commentary team's going to be in a toga. The cameramen are going to be in a toga. And the people at home watching better be in a fucking toga.
Well, the bit that worried me more is, like, they said the audience is going to be in togas. I was like, are you handing those out? Or, like... You can show up. You've paid $100 to get into Caesar's Palace. You've travelled all that way.
Yeah, you've paid $500 on your plane ticket or whatever.
You've got there. You've got to the front door in your nice like Undertaker t-shirt, and then Mean Gene's there. It's like, you're not wearing a toga. You're not coming in like a bouncer. Not tonight, mate. You can try down the road, but you're not coming in here.
So you said Mean Gene. I was imagining it was Mooney outside.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of more his remit, isn't it?
He's the bodyguard.
Yeah, outdoor interviews and general security. That's kind of his job description.
He's there to also keep Bobby Heenan out again.
We go back to the commentary desk, and much like me and you trying to do these over the internet shows, everyone talks over everyone.
Yeah, because everyone sort of like watched that and thought, right, I've got a great joke to come into this with. And yeah, like Gorilla, Vince McMahon and Bobby Heenan all start talking at the same time about this toga situation.
And it's very sort of assaulting to the ears. I didn't like it very much.
No.
We get an ad by Todd Pettingill. Oh.
Same thing as last time, just Saturday morning cartoon. Haha, I'm so wacky and random. Let's just move on. I don't want to think about it too much.
Then we go to the ring lady, and it's an attractive one. And as it swoops by, I swear, I'm not being crude, nearly saw her faff.
You nearly see into Fern Gully.
That's not me being childish. Like, the leotard thing is incredibly. It's like sort of gossamer thin around the gooch area.
I've got to be honest, Mike, I wasn't really looking.
Oh, well, well, I mean, this sort of like really high testosterone area of men fighting men, that's when I start looking at women's private parts.
But I believe we also see the our friend, the larger lady,
yes, of course we do. Yes,
less conventionally attractive lady, also being in the ring, the board girl. I don't really know what they're called.
Board girl's a good word for it.
Yeah, just in time for the Nasty Boys versus Head Shrinkers match.
And now, when I saw it on paper, I was like, oh, for God's sake. And then as soon as it started, I was like, I was damn wrong. It was great. The Nasty Boys come out, and I still can't tell them apart, so I'm just going to call them the Nasty Boys. Doesn't matter which one it is.
Well, they never gave their first names, I don't think.
One's called Brian Knobs, and the only reason I remember
Oh,
that is his
yes.
last name is Knobs.
Yeah, no, because that's the thing. They were introduced the last time we saw them, but I don't think they were actually introduced this time.
No, I don't think they were. And they get in the ring, and the crowd are absolutely electric for them.
They love the Nasty Boys.
And I found that's a really good way of getting me to like someone too, is by sort of having the crowd so obviously into them. Because I was like, oh, because we saw them in the Tatanka match last time we saw them, right? It was that 6-way with Tatanka
It was Shawn
and
Michaels and I don't know who his friends
Beverly
are.
Brothers.
The Beverly Brothers, yeah.
So that's the last time we saw the Nasty Boys. But this is the Nasty Boys, and I noticed on commentary this time they were previous tag team champions. And they're quite over. The crowd all chanting "Nasty Boys, Nasty Boys,"
And
so quite cute.
they are playing to the crowd like champions. Like they're doing a really good job at building their own hype.
It was adorable. Like, there's a really nice bit where like they're quite sort of like gross, sort of sweaty. That's their characters, like dirty men.
It was the
and they kind of get-
90s. Like
they
snot
get-
and burps were like all the rage.
Yeah, they get the not conventionally attractive ring lady, and they pretend to like, give her a snog, and she's all like, "Oh, mercy me," and it's really quite charming.
She looks like she's having a great time.
Yeah, and then their opponents tonight, one of which is Rikishi, lest we forget, the head shrinkers. They come out, everyone gets in the ring, and I thought it was going to be a tornado tag because everyone's in the ring and no one seems to be getting out of the ring.
Yeah, this one's a strange one because you've got the head shrinkers who are obviously like the heels of this match, and you've got the Nasty Boys. I wouldn't necessarily call them faces or good guys because like they're clearly like they flaunt the rules regularly, but they
Yeah.
are so over with the crowd that they can't not be the quote unquote protagonists of this matchup.
They're lovable rogues.
Yeah, so it's just like no one gives a shit about what the ref is saying this time around. It's a free for all.
And that's a great way of describing it. It is basically a free for all. But
Yeah.
we start off and they kind of swap taunts. So the head shrinkers will do their taunt and everyone goes, boo, no, bad, Samoans, no, thank you. And then the Nasty Boys do their taunt and they're like, yeah, dirty, greasy 90s men, yeah, hooray. And the crowd gets built to a fever pitch. We basically end up in a situation where there's one of each team in the ring, and I think it's Samu, who is Rikishi.
You're not getting any help from me here, I'm afraid.
Okay, we'll say Samu. He gets to jump on the Nasty Boy by running into him, like when his back's turned and beating him up a little bit. They go into the corner. There's a clothesline from the Nasty Boy to like even the playing field. It's a really quick pace. There's a few clotheslines by the Nasties. They kind of tag in his partner. There's some double teams. They do a really nice double team backdrop. They go into the corner, and there's double teaming from the head shrinkers. So they kind of tag in their tag team partner, and they work each other over. The Nasty Boy slips underneath the kind of double clothesline, and gets a near fall after like giving them a double clothesline. And the crowd are crazy for the Nasty Boys. We get a little bit of technical wrestling. There's like a wrist lock into a chicken wing by the Nasty Boy. The crowd are electric. The head shrinker kind of reverses off the ropes, and then they do that thing which I've seen it about 10 times and I still can't accurately describe it, where they reverse the reverse arm drag.
It's all right, that'll do.
That's the best way I can think of describing it. There's like lots of quick tags, so the head shrinkers keep tagging in and out. The Nasty Boys get a quick tag with the head shrinkers still in the wrist lock, so they basically pass his arm from one Nasty Boy to the other one, which I thought was quite cool. There's some like big blows, and like the Nasty Boy then bites Fatu when he comes in the ring, so he like gets his arm and like a big bit of chicken. It's like, "Arr," which I thought was cute. My notes are quite confused because there's a lot going on and everyone's in and out. The ref's trying to keep control and break things up, but it's just chaos. The good kind of chaos, though.
Yeah.
They kind of come off the rope. As the Nasty Boy comes off the rope, he gets like a cheap shot in the back of the head from the head shrinker that's on the outside. And as he kind of comes forward, he gets a super kick. And then it goes into like an ad. And when it comes back, we've missed the best bits, Nathan, haven't we?
Yeah, because like Henan cracks a joke about saying, "Oh, like you missed so much during the ad break. They used camera cables to strangle each other. They used the steel stairs." So I'm just assuming that's just a goof to say like, "Oh, yeah, the helicopter came in and shot everyone, but it's okay because they punched the bullets back."
At one point, I'm sure someone says, "Oh, they even picked up a small boy from the crowd and headbutted him."
Yes.
And I was like, wow, you know what? I'm quite glad he went to an advert break now. That would have been very upsetting.
Destroyed the evidence, didn't they? But like, I gotta say, like, there's a lot of I don't want to say arguments, but disagreements in the commentary during this match about who the legal man is, and frankly, no one knows, like, because it's just an absolute mess in there, but a good mess.
There's like kind of like that's what I mean. We go to that advert break, we come back, and like all this cool, crazy shit might have happened in the break. We'll never know.
It allegedly happened.
And what we got in the ring, a reverse chin lock, and I'm like, oh, okay. There's a bit of smothering on the ground, like the Nasty Boy gets in the ring, and there's like a distraction. So the other one gets thrown out of the ring, gets worked over the power slam onto the mat. The distraction
They call
goes
it
on for a bit too
concrete.
long. It's a blue mat.
It's a very thick blue mat. It's definitely not concrete. I will say, like, this is the last match, so it's the end of the evening. This is where the commentary team is starting to like lose their focus a bit. And frankly, I don't blame them because like it's a difficult one to call, like as is apparent from yourself. But like they
mad.
But they just like give up on commentating at one point. Just start arguing about who's going to wear a toga again.
Yeah, I think at that point, I think that's what we should start doing. Are you going to wear a toga next week, or?
Yes.
Okay, good. I will then as well.
But Bobby Heenan's saying that he's not going to wear a toga because he's got like a special white sequin suit made for next week.
Ugh. Do you think he's going to come along and do an Elvis impression? That's quite an Elvis-y outfit.
What if both he and Rob Backlund did Elvis impressions? Like it was just those two.
They could do it at like different periods in Elvis's life, though. They could do like different. It's like one's in the ghetto, another one's like sort of another Elvis song.
Another Elvis song.
Yeah, I only could think of In the Ghetto. I'm sorry, all right?
It's all right. I forgot the name of the second Indiana Jones film earlier. We can be forgiven.
So there's like a double headbutt and like a slam from Samu. Samu goes up and misses the big head drop, and like he kind of works his way to his corner, tags in his partner, and there's a hot tag to the other Nasty Boy. And I think this is the same one that had the hot tag last time, because he's really good at it.
This is the blonde boy.
He's in the ring, and he goes fucking wild. Like, he comes in and it's like a big blows, and like he's basically just dropping everyone with a punch. He gives him like a big bad body drop, like shoulder blocks. He goes like a double, so he gets the head shrinkers, and he's gonna like headbutt them both at the same time.
Big
but
mistake.
The head shrinkers have like magic heads.
Well, they were headbutting each other before the match started, so they've practiced.
They drank special headbutt antidote, so they can't be headbutted.
They spoke to the Brutus the Barber Beefcake about some tips on how to get metal in their face.
And he said, what you need is parasailor's knees. So we're getting close to the end of the match now. They kind of go for like a backdrop, but it gets reversed into like a really nice double DDT. The action breaks down and turns into crazy fun shit.
It just devolves into absolute madness.
The camera peels back, and like some of them have gone like this way, some of them have gone that way, and they end up fighting up the ramp. And as they're getting up the ramp, the bell's called, which I imagine is like a disqualification or a double.
Yeah,
count.
that's the thing. They never really call what happened. So yeah, I think it was just a disqualification because they find their way over to like the confectionery bar and just start pelting each other with popcorn and mustard.
It's so fun. Like you say, it's like something out of a Nickelodeon film. Like they're spraying each other with mustard, and they're
just
getting all
covered in
covered.
gack.
Yeah, they're kind of like slipping around, and there's a bit like where one of the head shrinkers picks up a chair, and I've never seen a chair shot get reversed by mustard before, and I love it. Like he gets mustard sprayed in his face. He's like, "Rah!" It's so good.
There's a part where one of the, I think it's one of the Nasty Boys picks up like I guess what was like a metal pot of popcorn and just starts smacking one of the head shrinkers with it, and it folds like paper.
It's so good. It folds like those crisp bed sheets I was talking about.
Have you just done your laundry? Is that where Is that where you're getting all this commentary from, Blake?
I've got some in the dryer now. I'll have to sort out in a minute. But yeah, it just goes off the rails. It's so fun. And then it kind of just fades away from that quite a high energy, quite high fun thing to
Let's take it down a notch.
Yeah, we brought them up, let's bring them down. There's some like sad piano music playing. And it goes into like charity spots. So it goes into them basically giving themselves a pat on the back and sort of showing what they do for charity. And it shows a lot of Hulk Hogan sort of doing charity work. And it goes on to describe some of the specific ones they do, like Make-A-Wish Foundation, this leukemia one, the Headlock for Hunger thing in Somalia. And I remember sort of like when it started being a bit like, this is silly. Like, why are we? This is stupid. This is quite funny.
It felt very self-congratulatory.
Yeah, but then I think about halfway through when you sort of saw like the Nasty Boys interacting with kids and things like that, I sort of took my headphones off and I sort of held them in my hands and I did sort of feel quite emotional. And I was like, they are out there doing really good work. I was like,
It was nice. Like, I can only assume that these wrestlers do have the best of intentions indeed.
Yeah. And like I said, it did start to get a bit touching, and I was like, you know what? All jokes aside, they do a really good job. And I'm not leading up to something at all.
No, but it does get a bit strange because then it cuts to like Tatanka sort of giving nutrition advice. So make sure you get your vegetables, exercise 6 days a week.
Yeah, and it's like there's a kid standing in a windbreaker with his hand in the air in like a school sports hall, and it's like shot from behind of Tatanka, and he's like, yeah, make sure like you exercise 6 days a week. I'm like, this is going to be like an Olympic swimmer. He's like a 7-year-old boy. And he's like, make sure you get all your vitamins, your protein. And at this point, I was genuinely convinced he was going to start advertising the Ico Pro stuff from earlier.
Get new muscle mist.
Yeah, and like sort of, what was it, like autoimmune cream
Disease.
or whatever.
Sorry, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
No, it was like
Autobahn cream.
Yeah, it was like some sort of cream with auto at the beginning. But at that point, I was like, oh, you want to try this new Ico Pro lunch bars? And it's like got Vince McMahon on it or whatever. Then we go to the Nasty Boys, and they're like, we're pretty dirty and pretty smelly and pretty cool. But you know what's not cool? Smoking cigarettes.
It's
children.
so fucking, like, oh, God, the anti-smoking and anti-drug PSAs that you got in, like, the early 90s, late 80s are just such a product of their time, and this is no different. But it doesn't just stop at anti-smoking, because then we are you wanting to talk about this?
I would have loved it if that Nasty Boys bit, if like you just see them, don't you, and they talk about how smoking's not cool, kids. If it cut back, it was like a nursing home of like 80-year-olds. And like, there's Ron on the gas and air, like, I wish he'd told me 60 years ago.
See, I was imagining you'd go to a different, like the Nasty Boys say, you know what's uncool? Smoking. They throw a pack of cigarettes on the ground, just give it an elbow drop.
They like rub it in their pits. Pit stop the fags.
No, cigarettes, Blake.
Sorry, yeah, no, it's just a cloak in a minute. Sorry, I always do that.
But then we get an anti-drug PSA from perhaps the worst person to give an anti-drug PSA, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Because the thing is, okay, so like I said, I was feeling quite emotional, and then the Nasty Boys bit happened, and I was like, it's quite funny, but it's still quite cute and quite charming. And then I looked at the screen, looked at you on our video call, aghast, as Macho Man Randy Savage started banging on about the dangers of drugs. And I was like, you fucking...
In front of an orchestra for some reason.
Yeah, like what was that about? I would love to hear his theme music on an orchestra though, wouldn't you?
I'm just imagining though, he literally just broke into like the local symphony hall or something, like cocaine all around his nose, like, hey kids, don't do drugs. Just like cops running behind him.
Like sort of like working the cymbals with Slim Jims. So that was weird. I think that we could charity describe that whole thing as weird.
Yeah, but it ends on a very unfortunate picture of Vince McMahon. And of course,
God.
Of course, all of this was purely to build the character of Vince McMahon.
The thing is, okay, so just for a bit of... Because obviously we're going to have a screenshot of it on the screen, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It finishes the bit, and then it just cuts this picture of Vince McMahon, like,
and I promise you,
coffin.
Yeah, I promise you, this is not like an unfortunate freeze frame like of a video or something. This is actually like the still image they used for his profile.
Yeah, it's like a semi-production shot, and it says like, with love from Vince McMahon or whatever. But it's yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Just look at the picture on the screen, people. Look at it.
If you can, like, assuming you're not like driving somewhere or something.
No, stop what you're doing. I don't care if you're a car accident.
Pull over in the hard shoulder and get a look at Vince McMahon's mum.
You need to look at this picture. I don't care where you are or what you're doing. Put down what you're doing. If you're feeding your baby, put your baby down. Look at this photo of Vince McMahon looking like halfway through picture of Dorian Gray, portrait of Dorian Gray. Horrible. That's going to be my nightmares.
And that is actually the end of the Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. We go back to the commentary desk for a bit of chit chat, and then the only thing I picked up for next week is Tatanka versus the Repo Man, baby.
Which feels like a bit of a step down for Tatanka.
Yeah, but it's the Repo Man. Maybe he's going to repossess Tatanka's land because he's Native American. Wouldn't be the first time that the Americans have done that, bastards. Then we go to a slow-mo of the chair shot, and then the show ends, and I think they should all end like that. That's it.
Yep, that's that.
I'm not going to be back next week just before the heat dies down for all the horrible things that I've said.
Blake's going to be hiding out in Mikaruga. I say it's Nicaruga.
I don't know. Well, now you've done a gaff, so we're all right now. We're fine. Okay, Nathan, really quickly, because we've gone on quite a long time today. What did you like? What didn't you like? Go.
Honestly, the entire thing, I really enjoyed it. All 4 wrestling matches were wildly entertaining. If I were to pick a best one, I'd probably go for Papa Shango versus Bob Backlund. If I were to mention a low point, it'd probably be the Giant Gonzalez interview, just because it felt very slow and clunky. And also Bobby Heenan getting a bit angry at the stagehand made me wildly uncomfortable. Apart from that, yeah, damn good episode. Blake, what did you think?
Okay, this is probably my second favourite one of these we've ever done. I loved every second of this. The wrestling was crisp and perfect. I'm going to second you all the way. Fucking Bob Backlund versus Papa Shango. Who'd have thought it? Incredible match. I loved it, every second of it. Special mention goes to Nasty Boys versus Head Shrinkers, just for the absolute anarchy and chaos. There was nothing really offensively egregiously bad this evening. It was all really, really good. And I literally cannot wait for next week. But I'm kind of worried that we've reached a peak now for a little while, and we're never going to get this high again. But all in all, incredible show. I loved it. And I kind of feel like if anyone's listening to these and wants to watch old school, old style Raw, start here. Fucking ignore the last 8 weeks. Just do this one.
Especially ignore like the previous 3 episodes, I think, because I think they were all a bit dross.
Yeah. But all in all, Raw's back on top, baby.
Yeah, let's hope it can keep up this level of energy. So, yeah.
Upward trajectory all the way to WrestleMania 9.
Let's hope so. So I think that leaves us at the end of Going in Raw.
Yeah, episode 9.
Yeah.
It's been beautiful.
We still haven't really figured out a way to end this, so thanks.
Cheers, guys. It's been really good. I can't wait.
Make sure to take your jacket, wipe your shoes on the way out.
Make sure you exercise 6 times a week. Eat your protein. Have your muscle relaxants.
Don't do drugs unless it's cocaine and steroids.
Then feel free, fill your boots.
Yeah,
Only in front of an orchestra. Don't do it anywhere else, just in front of the London Symphony Orchestra. Nathan, let's go. Let's get out of here. Come on.
Okay, I'm done.